Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have back on the show an incredible singer, songwriter, and world-renowned guitarist, Christie Lenée. Christie, it's so good to have you back on the show.
So awesome to be here. Thanks for having me, Eric.
I was thinking over the weekend, it's like, it seems like, I just met you at 3rd and Lindsley at that charity thing like yesterday, and it's been like years.
That was 2018.
Yeah, and it's been a day or two since you've been on the show now, but you got a brand new album that came out this past November, Coming Alive, and I love the musical direction you're going with this.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm excited. We're fellow lovers of the 12-string guitar.
Yes, and I hear a lot of 12-string in here.
Yes, lots of 12-string, the Bigsby on the Gretsch White Falcon.
Gretsch.
Oh my gosh. I know we were nerding out a little bit on guitars before we started here.
And you have a new 12-string.
Yes, a new 12-string, the D1228.
Nice.
It's a great guitar.
Beautiful. And just watching you play, it's so inspiring, just how much you enjoy it. But also, I got to tell you, and for our viewers, with your new album, really a progression for you, a lot more vocals, your voice sounds great, singing more. Before you would let your guitar do most of the talking.
Yes.
And you would tell great stories and everything in between, but now it seems to me like with this album especially, Christie, to where it's just so honest. It's kind of like you're telling your own stories. Like I could really relate to that voice. Oh. That inner voice that we all have that goes, yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that, Eric. And it's like, I think you kind of put that out in the air with that song.
Thank you so much. Well, that song, that voice is really, it's about the inner voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough or you can't do whatever it is you're trying to do. And it's about standing up to that voice and saying, I'm going to power through this, because everybody has it, right? And it is. There's a lot of the journey of self-discovery in this album. A lot of it was written in a log cabin in Lake Lore when things were shut down during COVID, and I had to kind of imagine the world as it would be when we came back into it. So Coming Alive was a vision of getting back on the road, and it was all created in my mind. So when we made the video, you can see I'm kind of dreaming it all, going to national parks and places like that.
I
love
love it though.
Fun internal experience.
Well, and it's so inspirational, because even the title track with Coming Alive, it's like, you're such a powerful live performer. Having seen you multiple times, it's happy. It's joyous music, but also, bringing out your voice, not just the voice of your guitarist now, you're really pushing your envelope even more. And you always did that with guitar. But, I got to bring this up too. You, in 2021, one of the best guitarists in the world from Guitar World.
Oh, thank you. That was a big deal.
Besides a few other, awards back in 2019, 2017, you just keep chalking up the awards. Oh,
thank you. Well, that was a big one to get, and it was a big deal to be on the front of this album. There's an electric guitar,
right?
And it was a big statement, because I'm known as the Acoustic Guitarist of the Year and the International Fingerstyle Guitar Champion and all these things. And it's like, well, I wanted people to know when they saw the cover of this that this is not an instrumental acoustic record.
Yeah, you know what I kind of felt like, listening to this album and looking at the artwork and everything, I kind of felt like this was your Bob Dylan moment. It's like, you remember when Bob Dylan goes like I'm going electric, and the whole crowd goes, what? You're an acoustic folkie. What do you mean? It's same for you, because you are so well known within that niche of fingerstyle. And I mean, you make all the sounds and you're hitting the guitar and you make it sound like an orchestra with one acoustic guitar, but then also stepping out now and really showcasing your voice and your other instruments and electric and,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a completely electric album,
No.
It's lots of acoustic. And of course, I always tell people, it's like, of course, there's going to be a lot of guitar. I love the guitar.
Right.
And there's going to be probably a few on each song, different layers, even if you can't tell it's a guitar, just the orchestral arrangements created. And the bigger vision of my mind, whereas I played the album release show for this solo still, because I'm like, okay, I have all these elements.
And because you can.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, you were those, it was like, 15 instruments, I can do that on one guitar. Here, let me show you this.
Well, it's like, you get a kick drum, the foot stomp on the right foot and put the tambourine on the left foot. It doesn't compare to having Keith Carlock play drums, but he's busy most of the time.
Yeah, but but that you're able to still do that with the solo shows or with a full band. and also playing more electric, and also even the percussion and the bass lines seem to take a more dominant stance within this album than they have on your past ones.
Yeah, well, that band, Keith Carlock and Adam Nitti, those guys are the best rhythm section I've ever had a chance to work with. And Matthew Audmark from Jars of Clay co-produced the album. And getting in the studio with those guys was just amazing because I could hear the orchestrations in my mind of how I wanted it.
Right.
But to get with people of that caliber and work with them, it just took the songs to another level and then created a foundation where it was like, okay, now I don't have to try to cover the bass line and do all this stuff with the guitar. I can fill in all of the colorful elements on top of it and let the vocals do the talking like you were saying. So it was really fun, you know, it's artistic evolution.
Well, you know, and even the one song to where it opened up with vocal harmonies. It's like going, okay, I don't typically hear this from you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song. It's a special song with the strings and the piano.
It's just
guitar.
beautiful. But I mean, I'm sure also, you know, being such a guitar virtuoso, which you are, you know, you've got to focus on your vocals more, putting those out front too. And so having a band with you, you're able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's kind of like they have a conversation, right? It's like, okay, here's the moment that the guitar is going to step forward, and then here's the moment for the vocal to step forward, and this is the moment for the drums to do the talking, you know, and I can just sit back and be like, wow, that sounds great. I'm just going to go over here and dance for a minute, and you just keep playing that groove. I'm just going to.
But how incredible to do that, because I know with my, you know, once again with myself even, it's like I started out as a guitar player, so when I sing, I really have to think about the vocals. Whereas the guitar can kind of go on autopilot. You know, the guitar knows what to do. My voice, not so much. It needs, you know, I have to guide that.
Yes. Well, you and I are coming from the same place. It makes sense because I used to always need to have my guitar in my hands to record vocals.
Yeah.
And I had to really figure out how do I drive the groove with the vocal and, you know, using my hands and learning new tricks for how to sing in the studio without holding the guitar and really make it be the front.
That is an amazing leap. Because like for me, I always joke, it's like I can stand in front of any crowd as long as I put a guitar on me. And it's like, but it's like to just do the vocals without holding an instrument, it's like.
Yeah. Well, the guitar is an extension of your soul. If you're that connected to it as you are, or we are, you know, it's a part of you. It's a tool for self-expression, and you're used to having it be there and be the accompaniment to the vocal. And when it's not, you know, you're completely vulnerable.
Right. And it's also just security.
It's just like,
You know, it's just like, it's like, you got a guitar on, you feel pretty secure.
Yes.
It's that comfort zone.
Yeah, I always say the most vulnerable thing I could ever do would be to put down my guitar and just grab the mic and get in front of the audience. Well, you know,
I think
it
that's
happened
why
on the record.
I'm not good with karaoke either, because it's like going, once again, it's like I have no guitar on.
Yeah, it's
very uncomfortable.
It's very awkward.
Yes. It is.
I used to do that as a kid, but after playing a guitar, you know, it's like, you know, once you feel that with you, it's. I don't think you're necessarily hiding behind it, but it's just with you. You know, it's like your little friend. And then,
and it's like an extension of you.
Yeah, and you're
musically.
You're going out all by yourself.
Well, I've got to bring this up too with the music videos and everything else coming out from Coming Alive, and you've already been working on new music and another album that'll come out down the road.
Yes.
Big tour.
Yes, always out on the road and back in the studio and finding the balance between that and.
How do you juggle it all?
Well, the balance of those things and then as much time as I can on a yoga mat or out in nature.
Maybe a little hiking.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we have to replenish our souls somehow.
Exactly.
In this life, you know, to create, we have to find a way to find the space of silence so we can listen and hear the music again.
And you never change, so whatever you're doing it right, because you look great, you sound great, and the music on this album is just so powerful. I know it's doing really well, and it seems like it can fit in so many ways. And I think you're probably reaching a much broader audience even with your vocals now too, and not only as a guitarist.
Well, that's exciting to hear. Possibly, I wanted to try to reach out to as many people as possible. You know, there's so much to say, and COVID and the shutdown of everything was really difficult for a lot of people, and it was an opportunity to go inward, which can be scary for a lot of people. You know, when you're used to being out in the world, and then. You know, there I was in a log cabin by myself, just with a lot of trees. I didn't see a lot of humans for several months, and just spent some time really thinking about, well, what do I want to say, and where am I coming from, and that's a good place to do it.
It is, and I'll tell you what, especially doing it with this music, it's a great album. Although I did think, it would be very nice to have it on vinyl also, but
Okay. Well, I'll have to. You know what? Someone else said that, and I haven't printed it on vinyl yet, but we're gonna have.
But
to
I
go
also
ahead.
like it that in this album is that you got the inner photo, and you've got to the ocean of endless dreams. It's just this would lend itself to vinyl. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you're gonna be the first to get a copy.
But however you consume music, whether it's through digital, we have CDs, hopefully vinyl. But I want to make sure for our viewers, for your website and social media, so they can
Yes.
come see you live, because they have to see you live. Where should they go?
ChristieLenée.com, and you can listen on Spotify, YouTube, at Christie Lenée, all of the social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere where you hear music, I'm sure.
And
you
a
can
big
find me.
tour, and you've got a new mate and guitar going out with you.
Always. There's always new members of the family being added, and then we have to make sure that none of them get jealous and they all
Right.
get
You have to give them
played,
equal
but-
time.
Yes.
Just like your Gretsch, it's like the one song, it sounded like you were playing a synthesizer, and you tell me it's a Gretsch with a Bigsby. It's like, how does she do that?
Very careful. Yeah, just some reverbs and delays, and just some volume swells. It does kind of sound like a synthesizer,
It does. It
but it's
sounds
very
beautiful.
cool.
Well, and I
But
love
I've-
all the 12-string in it.
Yes.
And in your spare time, you're teaching lessons also.
Yeah, I'm actually teaching at Tommy's camp here in Nashville
Wow.
in September, so that'll be great. I love camps, and I've been spending a lot more time in Nashville, coming back and forth. I can't get enough, and
We're
I'm
glad
still
to
living
have
in the
you.
mountains in Asheville at
Right.
the moment, but I'm here all the time, so I'm excited to be more in this music scene.
You and Tommy Emmanuel have toured a lot together also, so very complimentary, and he speaks very well of you.
Oh, well, I call him Big Brother, and he calls me Baby Sister. So, I mean, he really is an amazing mentor to me, and I love playing with him. But when I'm just in his presence, he's just one of those people that he just has a heart of gold. And
He's very high energy like you, too.
he has a lot of energy, yeah, and it's amazing watching him. He's fire, and he can just fill up a room with his guitar, and I admire that. And we're coming from the same place in certain parts of our musicality, so
Definitely.
I love to be around him. I just saw him the other day, and we were nerding out on guitars. He's a great guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a great lady. I love the direction of the new album, the evolution of it, coming alive. However you consume music, be sure and add this to your list. Get a CD, hopefully vinyl, but also if you want to learn more guitar, this lady will help you do it with Christie Lenée. And once again, I can't wait to see you live at a show also.
Absolutely, yeah, look out for the shows, ChristieLenée.com. Hopefully I'll see everybody on the internet. Come say hi.
And more new music coming out too. So thanks for joining us.
Always. Thank you so much for having me, Eric.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.